Hello guys, in this video we're going to be learning about congruent triangle. So two figures are congruent if and only if they have the same size and the same shape. And you can write a congruency statement. This is our congruency statement. A triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So whenever you see a symbol like this, equal signs and then something like that, it just means that figures are congruent. So this means congruent. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. As long as you give me a congruency statement, you're telling me a lot. Okay, let's first look at this. CPCTC. It simply stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles. Congruent, yeah? What are corresponding parts? Let's go step by step. You see the first letter here in our congruency statement matches with the first letter there. So angle A is equal to angle D. So meaning if we are looking at angles, angle A being my first letter here is equal to angle D, which is my first letter in this triangle. Let's go to the second letter. Angle B is equal to, what is the second letter here? Angle E. And then the third, angle C is equal to angle F. So you're telling me the corresponding angles are congruent. The corresponding angles are the same. So if you look at A is right here, has to be equal to the first letter here, which is D. So these angles are equal. That's why they're marked by a single bar. Let's go to the second. If you look at the second, which is B, you see how they're marked with a double bar? That angle there has to be equal to the second angle in this congruency statement, which is E. And that's why they're marked with a double bar. And then the triple bar, which is C, the third angle, is equal to the third angle. So that's what they mean by corresponding parts of a congruent triangle have to be congruent. They have to be the same size. Okay, so if we go back to this congruency statement, if I want to talk about the size of the sides, so I can say side AB, I've taken the first and second letter, is equal to the side DE, first and second letter D. Side AC, I'm taking the first and third. Side AC should be equal to what side here? DF. I'm taking the first and third. Why? Because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So if you tell me that these two triangles are congruent, that means the corresponding sides are congruent, meaning same size. And then what about BC? I'm taking the second and third. BC from here should be equal to EF, yeah? So let's look at AB. You see, AB has to be equal to ED or DE, yeah? That's why they're marked by one bar. And then these are marked as triple bars. They're the same here. Same here. So that's what it means for corresponding parts of a congruent triangle to be congruent. Another thing is, if you give me a congruency statement like this, I can write this congruency statement in so many forms, right? So I can start with triangle. Always start with a triangle if you're talking about triangle. And they are congruent, right? So if I want to start with B, I can say triangle B, and this side I'll start with E, right? Second. So first, third, BAC, even here I'll go to first, third, DF. That will also be another congruent statement that would hold as long as you leave the corresponding parts to be congruent. If you want to start with a C here, you would just simply write triangle C. That means this side you have to start with triangle F, right? And then second, first, CBA, right, is congruent to triangle FED. So that is another congruency statement. So this congruency statement can be written in so many combinations, but it would still mean the same thing. So they're giving us a congruency statement here, and they're asking us what sides are congruent and what angles are congruent. Angle J is congruent to angle P. I'm taking first, second, third. This is first, second, third. So 1 to 1. So angle J is congruent to angle P. Let's go to the second here. The second here is K. So angle K is congruent to the second here, which is angle Q. Let's go to the third. Angle L is congruent to the angle there, which is angle R, right? Now let's talk about the sides. Remember, every time we're talking about sides, we use two. So let's say 1, 2. JK here, side JK is equal to side 1, 2 here, PQ. That's the first. Those two sides are congruent or equal. And if we go to 1, 3, JL, KL is equal to 2, 3, remember, Q R. So these are corresponding sides and these are corresponding angles. These are equal, all of them are equal. You can simply use equal signs because they are congruent. And then they're telling us to write another valid congruency statement. So you see this congruency statement, another person can write it like this. Triangle, start with 3 to 1. LKJ is congruent to triangle 3 to 1. RQP. So this is also a valid congruency statement. All right, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video where we'll be doing more questions using this skill that we just acquired. See you then.